Hey guys, Will here, back with a brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about another true personal story of mine. Today's topic is my encounter with the ghost of the Arnoldsville Cemetery. Now, just a disclaimer before we get into the story. I did not personally see the ghost with my own two eyes. Me and an ex-girlfriend went to this cemetery and we took some photos and it appeared in the photograph. But I'd like to tell the tale of how we took the photograph, how we got there, and my experiences with the ghost of the Arnoldsville Cemetery and some other experiences I've had at that same cemetery. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So before we get into the main story, I'd like to tell you about an experience I had there and an experience my friend had at that cemetery. So the first story is from my friend's point of view. I cannot verify the validity of the story because I was not there, but I will say that my friend is a trustworthy source. So this takes place in the fall of 2019. My friend Rob and his friend Chris decided to hang out at the cemetery because they wanted to see a ghost and because Chris was about to join the army and they wanted to hang out one last time before he left. So they arrived at nighttime, I believe around 9 p.m., and they brought a couple flashlights and then their phones. So they walked around for a little bit and they said they felt this cold chill go through their body. Not like a winter breeze, but more like a presence. But they didn't feel threatened by it or anything like that. And Rob told me that he saw this light coming through the woods. He even recorded it. He showed me the video at the time, but I don't have it anymore, and I don't believe he has it anymore. To me, it looked like a flashlight, but it wasn't coming from anywhere where anybody lived, so I don't know what it was. But the most interesting part of this story is there was a certain grave that they walked by, and Rob told me that he felt this evil presence, like something wanted to harm him. And when he looked at the grave, he said he saw black waves coming off the grave, and he tried to video it, but he had a crappy Android at the time, so it didn't appear on film. He showed me the video, and you can't see anything in the video, but shortly after that they left, and then Rob asked me if I wanted to come back a few weeks later. So I came to Rob's house, and he lives 5 minutes at most from the cemetery. So I brought my flashlight, and I used to have this hat that had like a flashlight on it too, so I brought that, and I brought my phone, and I believe at the time I had like an iPhone X, I think, and he had that same Android, and we went to the graveyard, and for the first few minutes, we didn't really record or anything. We just kind of walked around. We got there right at dusk when the sun was setting, and we just walked around, mapped out the place, and then we waited for it to turn dark. But every time I go to a cemetery, I make sure to not step on any graves or desecrate anything like that. I completely respect the dead, and I respect the living family members of the dead. So we walked around for a little bit. Rob brought this stuffed animal. I believe it was a teddy bear or a rabbit or something he bought, and he placed it on one of the graves as a peace offering, I believe. And I think it was a kid's grave or something like that, so that happened. He tried to say, if there's any spirits here, show yourself to us. I really didn't see anything the whole time we were there. I did feel a cold chill and I did feel a certain presence in some certain places, but the whole time we were there, I didn't really see anything. I think I videotaped an orb, but I don't even think I have that video anymore. But to me, it was kind of a waste of time. We went to that grave that he supposedly saw the black waves coming off of, but I never saw anything. But I did have a fun time, and I did get pretty scared. So this brings us to the main story. This takes place in June of 2020. Me and an ex-girlfriend of mine decided to go to the cemetery. I told her about the 2 previous stories, and she brought her professional camera, and we walked around for a little bit. I'll say that the whole time we were there, I never really saw anything out of the ordinary. The only thing that happened really was I felt a presence or two, and I definitely felt some cold chills. And it was the middle of summer, so the weirdest thing that happened was, like, her camera's basically brand new, and we used it all the time, but when we were at that graveyard, she would go to take a photo, and the camera wouldn't work. It just wouldn't take a photo, and then it would take, like, you'd have to press the button a bunch of times just to get it to take a photo. While we were there, we didn't really experience anything, so we just got in my truck and left, and then we got home, and we uploaded the contents of the camera to my computer, and then we went through the photos, and this is what we saw. We were standing completely still the whole time when we were taking the photos, and for some reason some of the photos turned out blurry, or like it looked like you were shaking the camera and then took a photo. There were a lot of lights at the cemetery, like those solar lights you stick into the ground, and whenever we would take the photo and they would come back blurry, it would look like the lights were like trailing through. But there were a lot of photos like this. We also saw some orbs around the graves, and there were even some around my truck. There was also this weird anomaly where inanimate objects looked like they had a spirit coming off of them, as you can see in the photo on screen. But there was one last photo. It was of this tree, and I didn't think much of it. It was just like all the other photos. But then I zoomed in, and then I zoomed in more, and then I zoomed in more, and it scared the bejesus out of me. In the photo, behind this tree, it plain as day, is a spirit, a ghost, an apparition, a specter, whatever you want to call it. It is clearly, in this photo, a ghost. I have provided some outlines in case you were having trouble seeing it, which I don't know how you could have trouble seeing this, but this scared the crap out of me. This is the only figure in any of the photos we took, but to this day, this image still scares the crap out of me. If I didn't believe in ghosts before, this has kind of solidified my belief in them. But that was my experience with the ghost of the Arnoldsville Cemetery.
Yeah, we need a really good camera. This is this. Oh.
What?
I saw an orb.
Where?
It went up like past the camera and went up that way.